All right. How's everyone doing today? Oh, okay. Can't read. It's just. There we go. How's everyone doing? Machine, how are you doing? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. We got an interesting week. Got some things to cover. There was nothing big in cloud this week. I checked all of the interesting places to check for cloud news. I say that there was one thing that we're going to cover. And Google's Next is going on last week. I actually didn't find, I didn't go to Next myself, but I didn't find any of the things that I saw online to be that interesting. I mean, they had some stuff with Gemini, of course, but like, Gemini kind of sucks. Yeah. So anyways, we also have some stuff that we're going to catch up on. I've had a really busy 3 weeks. To be honest, the last month of my life has been more busy than when I was moving, if you can believe that. It's been pretty rough. But what was I going to say? So I have a few things that we have to catch up on. Let me see. I accidentally just closed a tab because I wasn't thinking that I wanted. Let's see. I don't do this often enough. I just need to go into tabs. Is this under history? I think it's under history. Recently closed. There we go. Okay. All right. So let's get into the news. I think one of the big things that everybody talked about this week was how the United States is funding the World CVE program. I believe that was the big news, and the funding got pulled, and there was a bunch of commotion around this because the idea was this Thursday there was going to be no CVE program. If you're familiar with cybersecurity, the CVE program is like, for better or for worse, one of the cornerstones of actually how cybersecurity is done. I think that this actually has a really, really interesting, a larger issue that nobody is talking about. Things like this, where MITRE does this, and where they were actually cataloging the CVEs and things like that. And actually, there was a lot of work being done. Now, this actually has been an ongoing issue where they're not actually populating that with the best data. A lot of this goes as unsung heroes. And I think it's actually a really fair point to call out because the American taxpayers have been paying for this for a while. Now, I think we should continue paying for it, but it is a thing that we do, and it's really good. It's like I said, for better or for worse, we don't have better for our cybersecurity. There's definitely problems with just relying on CVEs as your security stance because, yeah, you want stuff that's going to also be monitoring real time for threat detection and anomaly detection. You want those AIs on your network looking for those anomalies. That being said, CVEs are a really good first point, a first line of defense. So anyways, despite Eskandral, welcome. Despite all that, the CISA said, hey, we gotcha, and extended their funding. Now, this was not a long-term funding. This is for 11 months. So this has, let's see. For 11 months. So this is bringing up a larger conversation that I think needs to be had. Because I think too often we get comfortable with just using things for free and not understanding where that cost actually, nothing is free. That cost actually comes from somewhere. And yeah, so I think it was a good wake up call. Now, should we continue funding this? Yeah, like I said, for better or for worse, CVEs are our first line of defense. If you aren't familiar with CVEs, hopefully you are. They're basically a catalog, a database of known vulnerabilities and exploits. It allows you to know very easily if you have a known vulnerability or exploit on your software stack, which is pretty fantastic. There's tons of scanners that leverage this. So, Russell, I agree. I agree that I think it's a little unfair that only Americans are paying for it. But that sounds a little snobbish of me. And if we could continue paying for it, I'm happy to take that burden for the rest of the world. Because I try not to sound too snobbish sometimes, most of the time. I do think that it like brings up like, you know, Silicon Valley happened here in the United States, and a lot of these programs were born from that and the NSA and those types of things. And I think it does bring up good questions because we want to make sure that these things don't just disappear. So I don't know what the right answer is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you my political stance on the exact right thing. You know, maybe, you know, there's two takes on this, two extreme takes on this. You could be one or the other, or you could be somewhere in the middle. You could be like, well, it should just be a company that sells it, and then like your scanners would buy access to the database, and that would be like the extreme capitalist take. And then you have the extreme communist take, where you'd be like, oh, it should just be a government program, but the United States should lock it down just to the US. But that would be stupid because it doesn't really cost anything to open it up. So I don't like either of the extreme takes, probably. I think it is a conversation we should start having because there's more than just MITRE's CVE service. Like there's more than just this that we take for granted, that a lot of, you know, companies are built off of this. You talk about companies like Sneak. If this goes away, Sneak has a problem. If this goes away, the companies that depend on Sneak have a problem. And it's more than just Sneak. No reason I'm calling them out. I was just using them as an example. You're not American, so it's much better if you say it, Russell. Much better if you say it. Way better. Way better. While we're on the llama drama train, this is one that I actually missed last month. Now, I know my last month have been really, really busy. But I only heard this from friends of mine in Spain. Spain decided that basically it was just time to kick the internet. Just kick the internet. I can't access 60% of the sites on the entire internet because Spain has blocked all DNS, like Cloudflare and IP ranges of VPNs. What happened? Like, seriously, what happened? Well, I looked into it, and this is all the fault of soccer, not football. When I first read this, my heart dropped. I was like, it's football's fault? How did football cause an issue in Spain? It blew my mind. I was like, I didn't even think they knew what football was. It's soccer. So sigh of relief. Our sacred sport over here is safe. It turns out La Liga. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. I had never heard of La Liga. Probably mispronouncing it. probably am making somebody really, really upset with my lack of soccer terminology, but La Linga not hand egg. I hope you all know I am joking. I don't watch American football. I don't watch Spanish football. I pretty much don't watch sports. So hopefully you all got that I was joking around. And if you were offended, I apologize. I did not mean to interfere with your favorite weekend activity, couch activity. Anyways, it turns out La Linga is blocking any IP that they suspect. They don't even have to prove, suspect of audio visual piracy. Look, I follow the laws. Since this is online, I follow the laws. I watch the Super Bowl. Literally last year, I did watch the Super Bowl because my family invited me over to watch the Super Bowl. So I got to watch men on a field run around in tights. It was a little uncomfortable for me, but it's fine. I get that a lot of people like watching that. So I know stuff. I know that they score points. I know that there's a point scoring system. I know that there's referees and nobody's happy with the referees. I understand these things. So the big problem here, and this is another thing that we need to bring up, and we need to make sure our governments either understand or don't touch. What happened and why this is such a big, widespread problem in Spain is while these things are going on, they block any associated IPs, which means that, let's say somebody does do something they shouldn't on Cloudflare. They don't block that content and they don't send Cloudflare a request for them to remove that content, which Cloudflare will do if you do that. What they do instead is they block all Cloudflare IPs, which a lot of businesses depend on Cloudflare. They've started, not only have they blocked Cloudflare, which Cloudflare is now suing in European court because it was shut down in Spanish court, but they're also blocking things like VPNs. Again, if you're using a VPN for a legitimate reason, you're still getting blocked. If you're using Vercel, your application is now no longer available in Spain on the weekend or during the week when a La Linga game is on. This is bad for your businesses. This is bad for your community. This is bad for your people. If there was a reason to protest something online, Spanish people, I'm not coming. Look, if somebody wants to pay for my plane flight, do you guys have protections for protesters? I don't know the Spanish laws. If you do, I'll come over there and peacefully protest. I'll do it. This is pretty rough. The La Linga is already bankrupt. I don't know anything about La Linga. Like I don't know anything about it. But I do hope that they win in European court, that they get sued, and that there is repercussions. I think there's like two major things. I understand IP. You know what? Somebody's actually reposted videos of mine. Did you guys know that? Like, I'm not a big enough YouTuber to repost videos of. I didn't understand. I didn't know that this would happen. I understand IP, and I understand protecting IP, and we're actually going to talk more about protecting IP further on. A lot of AI companies are actually coming after IP. If you guys were watching the news If you're watching this, Elon Musk and the other guy that owns Block was Square. This is so fun. You're like, on Twitter, on X was Twitter, Block, now Square, or was Square, now Block. It's fantastic because you got to keep the chain. If you're Jack Dorsey, you need to change the name again. And the only reason is I want to see if they chain it. Do you say, like, let's say he chains it to like Glass Cup. Would you go like Glass Cup was Block was Square? Like, I'm not sure how long we keep the was part, but anyways, I digress. What I was going to say was that both Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk said, for the betterment of humanity and specifically AIs, we need to get rid of intellectual property rights. We'll leave it at that. You heard it here first, or you read it on Twitter when they were doing it. I mean, X. Wait. How am I supposed to say Liga? Oh, La Liga. I was putting an in there, wasn't I? Oh, La Liga. La Liga? Wait, is the G a J? La Liga? La Liga? Is that how, like, I could probably Spanish my way into this. That's a J. That's a J. Never mind. I couldn't Spanish my way into this. I'm going to go with La Liga. La Liga. I have no idea. La Liga? La Liga. Ah. I don't know why I was putting an in it. Linga just sounded good. La Liga. Fantastic. Oh, I learned how to pronounce it. Anyways, I do think that we need to bring up these topics. I'm not one of these people that sit here and say that I have the answer to all of these things. I think that it's important to talk as a community on these topics because, what La Liga is doing, I consider wrong because they're just doing it blanket. They're not following standard processes that most people do, and they're shutting down most of the good internet, of the useful internet, of the working, and they're costing companies money, lots of money, because of that. And you shouldn't be able to shut down legitimate businesses based off of a whim, based off of a desire, based off of a thought. If you read from Verzel, there was like one little clip or something that they know of that they took down, but La Liga is just shutting down all of Verzel in Spain at this point. And I think that this actually has huge consequences, if you're asking my opinion, which you didn't, but you're watching, so tough luck. It has huge consequences on freedom of speech because this could be leveraged to shut stuff down when you have such a blanket ability to do so, without really any evidence gathering, without any type of thing like that. You're just able to shut it down whenever you want. And so the ability to abuse that is scary. And a lot of times I look at things for the ability to abuse and the cost when it doesn't get abused. So like the cost that happens because somebody shared a clip of your La Liga, to the cost to the freedom of information. Sometimes there is a cost to that and it's not free. So anyways. Guilty until the footy finishes. Is that do you guys say footy? Is that what you call it? I have no idea what people call soccer other than soccer. I mean, like, obviously I know what they call it, soccer, but footy is very British. I'll have to try it. I'll have to try it a little. All right. I have a question. Is Figma lovable? That's the question we have to ask today. We've been talking a lot about IP, and this comes down to another IP battle. And I think that this does more to hurt Figma than it does to help Figma. Now, I looked this up. I looked up Figma trademarks. And I just want to say that this is kind of wild. Like, actually kind of wild. Because they have, like, a trademark of Figma. That's fine. Trademark of Forge. One, I think it's a bad trademark. I think it's just legitimately a bad trademark. Because Forge is all over the place. And there's actually prior work of Forge. I'm actually working on a database of prior work if there's a lawyer that wants to take it for most of their trademarks. Just if there's a lawyer out there. I actually have quite a bit of Forge prior work. I have Summit prior work, related to computers and software. So don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not even saying like, oh yeah, I have Forge, but it's like a cast iron forge. No. Forge and Summit are already things used in software engineering. Config, anybody? Config? These are bad trademarks. I know they have a conference. They have a conference called Config. You could maybe trademark like Figma Config or Figma Config Conference or something like that. But just Config is just a bad trademark. Figma, do better. That's what we're asking. FigJam, that's fine. Don't care. Image trademarks, cool. Don't care. Schema? Really? Is this what we're talking about? Schema? Bad name. Bad trademark. Shouldn't have been given as a trademark. Prior art collection is easy. What this comes down to is what happens to be a laundry list of bad trademarks. Now, what people might not understand, and I said that protecting your IP is important. Trademarks happen to have something similar. If I got a trademark, let's say I filed for a trademark on Merrick counts. Well, the interesting thing here is that if I let other people, and I knew other people were using my trademark, Merrick counts, and I didn't go after them, I would lose the trademark. There's been many grounds of that happening. And so this is why, like, you know, a while ago, there was like this person dressing up as the Grinch and taking photographs, and you could get a photograph with the Grinch. And then the estate of Dr. Seuss basically sent a cease and desist letter to that person, and everybody was all up in arms. And the fact of the matter is, they have to. Like, it's not whether they want to, it's not whether they feel compelled to or they want to be nice. They have to. Because if they don't, then somebody could make a movie, The Grinch, without paying them for it. Why? Well, because they didn't protect their copyright, their trademarks, and that is actually legal grounds for getting your trademark to be removed. So, anyways, if you make a trademark, you have to protect it. So what happened? General counsel at Figma, the owner of the dev mode trademark, now, I actually looked this up. First, hilarious. You get Figma to lovable right here, and then dev mode right here. Cool little thing here. It's not all caps. I'm not even sure it fits actually the trademark. I actually think they get around it, but I think that there's a lot of prior work of dev mode as well. So I think the biggest deal here, I'm conflating. You can lose copyright the same way, can't you? I believe you can. I might be conflating them. You can lose copyright the same way. No, you're right. You're right. I was conflating them. I just meant trademarks. I apologize. I was conflating. Yeah, because of Disney. Copyright survives death because of Disney. Thank you, Disney. Yeah. It's fantastic. Anyways, so I don't know. What turns out here is that Figma put themselves in a bad spot. If they actually want this dev mode, which you can go look up on the US website, if they actually want to keep it, they actually have to protect it. So if they're out here wanting to keep this, they have to actually go after people that they believe are abusing it. So if they know about it, they have to, which puts them in a bad spot. And like, don't trademark it. Don't trademark it. People hate Adobe, but they use it because, for the most part, a lot of those people feel like they have to, not because they want to. And Figma, I would say that a lot of people want to use you. That's like one of your draws. And you don't want to tarnish that. You don't want to upset that. You're in this fledgling niche. You're doing well, don't get me wrong. But you don't want to be another company people use because they have to, because they're the most productive with you. But if there was a good alternative, they would leave. You don't want to be that. So don't put yourself in that position, is what I would say. Don't go after trademarks that are dumb trademarks. It's a dumb trademark. They have to defend it if they'd like to keep it. They absolutely have to. Otherwise, there was no reason in registering the trademark in the first place. Also, to note here, the trademark was 2024, November 19th. Not long. Not long. They shouldn't have trademarked it. It's Figma trademark, thank you. I'm not disagreeing. I'm agreeing with you because they shouldn't have trademarked it, so they don't have to defend it. There was no point in making the trademark if you weren't going to defend it. That's just a thing. Yeah, there's no point in making it. Just don't. Figma, I don't know. This seems like common sense, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I don't understand. Maybe this is why I don't run a big company. I don't understand these tactics because I feel like it just... Yeah. Being a company is hard enough. Stop making it harder on yourself. I feel like these are the things that shouldn't happen because you just don't need to make running a company more difficult on yourself. Anyways, we'll move on. That was the llama drama. I don't have any drama about llama or llama. I like the word llama drama, though. I think I'm going to make that a shirt. We're going to have a llama drama. Or a drama llama. We're going to have a drama llama shirt. I'm working on some shirts that are going to be funny. I'm going to wear them for my videos. Anyways, let's move on. Job security. Oh gosh. All right, let's move on. OpenAI had two big announcements. One that makes me a little curious. The other's Introducing OpenAI 03 and 04 Mini. This is a little weird to me, right? We were told that they were releasing 03 and 04. And then we were told that they were going to stop working on releasing 03 and 04 because they were going to focus on OpenAI 5 that kind of combines all this sprawling of models that are good at different things. But now we're back to releasing 03 and 04 Mini. I don't understand. Now, there's some arbitrary tools that you can look at for how the performance is. I find most of these being hogwash and garbage in general. You can try it out. 04 Mini actually is really cheap to run and pretty good in my opinion. So that's what I've been using. You can check them out. I find the release to be fairly uninteresting. I leverage them for a little bit. I've used them just a little bit. They're fine. You can now use them through the API, which is cool. They're fine. Whatever. This is a more interesting one. A few times a year, I wake up early and can't fall back asleep because we are launching a new feature I've been so excited about for so long. I don't know why I think of Sam Altman as like a British reader. I've actually never heard Sam Altman speak. I always read the notes because I feel like I would get very upset. Today is one of those days. It's like one of those narrators for children books. That's what I feel like. Anyways, now, the service has gone to crap. Like, I mean it. They released the Studio Ghibli, like, AI draws stuff, and the whole thing is slower than molasses on a sub-zero day. Sub-zero Fahrenheit day. All right, molasses is solid as, like, it's hard. Anyways, bad analogy. Molasses are slow. Oh, welcome Togglebit to the news. I'm doing better now that you're here. How's the game going? Or the game engine? Or life? Anyways. Our GPUs are this I found funny. But what actually happened is this. The ability for ChatGPT to remember all your stuff. Now, if you remember, this is the thing that I found interesting. If you actually go back to their release of OpenAI 03 and 04 memory, it doesn't actually talk about a larger context. You can search for it. That's not what we want. Yeah, so 256K max content length. And that's about all that you get out of this. So my question is how do they do this? I almost want to guarantee you that the way that they're actually doing this right here is by ragging over your previous conversations. I think that would be like really elegant, right? It doesn't need to remember everything. It can just rag all your previous memories and include the most relevant pieces. So it doesn't have to extend to a ridiculous context length, right? It can just store all of your past conversations in a DB and rag using it. I almost guarantee you that's what they're doing. I wish that they would come out and state how they did it. I know that that's probably the secret sauce, but I think it's probably just like a rag. What do you guys think? How do you think they did it? Man, I'm actually really happy about how our RAG turned out last week. It was sweet. It worked so well. So much better than our training. Right, Russell. And I can't find anything that says they built an AI with a unlimited context. And in fact, the math that we have doesn't really the context is generally tied to the number of parameters, and they're working on expanding how big of a context you can with a smaller parameter set. But like there is like a theoretical maximum from just what the math will support. So that was my guess. I thought that was interesting though. Like it's actually a really cool use of it too. Because so with our Twitch bot that does the stories, what I want to do is kind of rag the past part of the story into it and pass that into, so like when you subscribe again, you get a continuation of your actual story. We need to actually work on that. We'll probably work on it some this week. All right. That brings me up to tomorrow. Either Dirk is going to join me and we're going to explore Nick's build. We're not going to actually get to the OS yet. We're going to explore that. Or if he's too busy, we're going to jump over and we're going to work on Twitch alerts and probably running. I might run like a local database, play around with running a local vector database. So yeah, we might play around with some of that stuff. But we'll definitely work on Twitch alerts no matter what. It's interesting that you bring that up. You know, I've started to see articles like this. What the heck is MCP and why is everyone talking about it? Now, if you guys don't know what MCP is, this is a great article. It's interesting because I already had it. It was me, the professional streamer, not the scrub streamer, the wannabe streamer. If everybody wants to see what, you know, the wannabe streamers look like, you can go check out Togglebit. He's a wannabe streamer. Yeah, go check him out. Apparently, he invented the internet for the Department of Defense. Anyways, what the heck is MCP and why is everyone talking about it? This is actually something we're going to play around with a little bit. I actually saw a bunch of people talking about it. I actually used an MCP without realizing it the other day. A little while ago, I used Gmail's MCP. Anyways, yeah, we're probably going to leverage some for the fun of it. No, do check out Russell. Not Russell. Togglebit. Fantastic streamer. Much better than me. I was just teasing about a wannabe streamer. He's the real deal. I'm the wannabe streamer. All right, let's move on to some other AI news. Microsoft is apparently pulling out of 2 big data center deals. I don't have any confirmation more, and I couldn't find any real take from Microsoft. But the assumption is, or what's been reported, is that it doesn't want to support more OpenAI training workloads, which I find interesting. Like, I don't know, if you can make money off of them, why wouldn't you want to support OpenAI training workloads? Maybe they can't make money off of them. That's another story. I don't know. Maybe OpenAI doesn't want to leverage them anymore for their training workloads. I don't know the full story. That's kind of what's been reported on it. Yeah. Right, Togglebit. That's what I would say. This doesn't make sense to me unless if there's something else behind it. Like they weren't making money. They were losing money supporting whatever contract they had with OpenAI. That's one possibility. Second possibility is that there's weakness in the OpenAI relationship. They are now actually able to use other AIs or other providers now. There's not an exclusivity contract. So there's weakness in there, and they weren't going to sign the contract that for this training. So I feel like this isn't the whole answer, the whole truth. It's maybe partial truth. Doesn't Copilot use OpenAI though? I don't know. The last thing I wanted to point out is JetBrains ID's Go AI. There's a free tier. Now, I'm going to say the same warning I do with all JetBrains free tiers. And this is true here too. If you use their free tier, you give them a right to all your code, period. If you work on a non-open source thing in your spare time at your home and you use a JetBrains free tier anything, they own that code. They own a right to it, period. 100%. Be cognizant of that. Be cognizant of that. I like JetBrains stuff. I'm not saying this as I just want people to know what they're getting into when they use the free versions of JetBrains. That's all I want. That's all I want. Now, it is really cool, though, if you're learning to code and don't care about what you're creating, there is a free tier with smarter assistants. So I think that possibly AIs, if there's like a training mode, I actually would love to see these code AIs have like a toggle for training mode where they're trying to educate the person and not accomplish the task for them, where like they legitimately try not to solve it for you, just help you come to that conclusion and think critically. I think that there's actually some really cool uses of possibly doing something like that. I'd love to see more of that. I personally haven't been able to find AIs to be really great at helping somebody learn, helping somebody think critically. I actually think they do the opposite. They make people not think as critically about what they're doing, which I don't love. But if it's for you and it's out there and there's a free tier, which is awesome. And I'm happy that they have a free tier. A free tier also allows you to evaluate if you'd even like to try the thing. So it's cool. Don't hate on them too much, but do be cognizant of their free tier. Their free tier has claws, has teeth. That's the word I wanted. All right, let's talk about if you write malicious code. I don't think, like, interestingly enough here, they own the right to use it, but you can write code. Malicious code is interesting. The word malicious code. It's like saying that a pencil is malicious because somebody stabbed somebody with the pencil. To me, code isn't malicious. A pencil isn't malicious because it has no intent And so like there's stuff like InMap that you can use maliciously, but I've actually used InMap not maliciously as well. So I think I tend not to use the word malicious code. Don't click ToggleBit's link. He's in a weird mood. He's in a weird mood. Ransomware is pretty malicious. Is the code or what people do with it? ToggleBit's in a pretty weird mood. I generally tend to think it's what people do with the malware. I actually think malware is pretty fascinating when you look at like actually how it's programmed and coded. IT Edsy. I like Cursor. I've used it on stream. I do use it on stream. I probably won't use it tomorrow. I could use it tomorrow. I don't like the editor. I think the AI is one of the best coding AIs out there. If I was using a coding AI, great. I wish that I could use it in Vim or Zed, but as this is why I don't use it more, is just its editor support. But first time here. Well, thank you for joining. On Fridays, for anybody that's new, on Fridays, I cover the news for the week. We cover the stuff that's happened. Coming up, we're going to talk Salesforce because I also follow up, unlike other places. I don't know if it's unlike other places, but I follow up with things that we're following, trying to understand. So we're going to follow up on Salesforce. They made some pretty big claims about AI, and we're going to see what that big push has done. Now, that doesn't mean that in another year or another 2 years, it doesn't pay off for them, but we'll see in a little bit. So we go over tech news, we go over open source news. We haven't quite gotten to OpenSSH, but they had a big release, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. We talk about the cloud news and whatnot on Fridays. It's my lunch break. You get about an hour and a half, depending on how busy I am, of tech and software news. On Saturdays, we program something. We try to learn something. We do something. Usually I do something pretty stupid at least once or twice, whether it's leaking a key or writing recursive loops that don't have any branching, so they aren't really recursive. They're just infinite. I do something stupid at least once a Saturday. But we program something. We do something. We try to learn something. Last week, we learned how to RAG. We RAG'd an AI. Which is a retrieval augmentation of my retrieval augmentation generate. Anyways, that's what RAG stands for. The 2 weeks prior to that, we trained an AI. We have another database episode coming up where we're going to spend a couple weekends building a new feature onto a database. So those are the types of things that we do. Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing well. Actually, today is a great day. My sister and her kids came over. We're going to go outside and do some garden chores and work with the bees after this. So I actually have today off. It's not even lunch break for me today. It's just a day off. Hanging out with family. And you guys. Absolutely. Nest.js or Next.js? Are you jesting with me? I don't know. Yeah, AIs did tell us we can actually run that. Also, everything that I do make, since it seems to be a couple interested people that are new to the stream, everything that I do make is here online. You can go check it out. The Null channel is my YouTube channel. We did some fine tuning in here. We also did the RAG where we taught an AI that even us small YouTubers make billions of dollars. So yeah, we have fun. It's all there. Enjoy it. Let's move on with the news. Next big update. We've been talking about Salesforce. We've been talking about these companies that have pushed AI and said they're pivoting. And I want to track those. So, update. New earnings release came out. Let's talk about it. Salesforce is down about 25% this year, about a quarter of its price. If you look at its peak, it's about a little over $100 off of its peak. Why? Let's talk about it. Well, they had their slowest growth yet. They went from 8% to 7%. And this is actually that's their worst growth in history. And it's like been going that way as well. Like it's been slowing down and slowing down and slowing down. So it's kind of a bit of a trend. But there's another thing that's kind of interesting. For the last year, Salesforce has been very public about how it's all in on Agentforce. And we can see that Agentforce isn't doing very well. Why Agentforce adoption is slower than expected and what Salesforce needs to do. Now, Mark, I don't know how to pronounce Mark. I want to call him Benioff, but I know it's not Benioff. But I want to call him Benioff. Every single time I see the stupid word, I think Benioff. Anyways, Mark, happy to just call him Mark, like we're old friends. We're not friends. Agentforce sounds like a Saturday morning's kids TV show. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. So Agentforce said that they had closed around 5,000 Agentforce deals. It's interesting though, only 3,000 of those are paid, while 2,000 of them are still testing. So it's not really Agentforce deals. But it turns out many of these sales are also potentially part of a wider package, meaning customers are paying for bundles with Agentforce included, but are not necessarily using the tool at all. So there's not much more to report on this. I've just been keeping you guys updated as we watch it. Like I said, with any new thing like this, you kind of would expect that the progress you were making in one direction when you shifted directions, it will take time. So we will watch it over time. I know that we talked about it like a year ago where it would take them from there. So we'll see. I also haven't heard anybody directly that uses Agentforce. If your company does use Agentforce and you'd like to contact me, like to talk to me about it, like to talk to us about it, your experience with it, I'd like to hear. I actually haven't heard much about Agentforce. I was kind of Googling and I found a few little things. I don't know if people are under NDA right now to use it. Not sure. Absolutely, Togglebit. If your company uses Agentforce, please comment down below. Absolutely. All right. We got two things in open source. One cloud thing, and then something I found hilarious. Also shouldn't be done though, and I'll get into why it shouldn't be done. Let's talk open source. The big thing that I saw, two things I saw in open source, was OpenSSH 10.0. Now, OpenSSH, unlike OpenAI, is actually an open source thing. It's very confusing in the world. Usually, when you put open in front of a thing, it meant it was open source. OpenAI changed the dynamics of the whole industry, but that's all right. OpenSSH 10.0 has been released. I think this brings in two big things. First, this removes the weak DSA signature algorithms that had been deprecated. So you've been getting deprecation warnings, and it removed them. So there are a few other things in here that are potentially incompatible changes if you were using them. So you might want to check this out if you're going to be upgrading. Here, you know what? I'll actually link this to you all. A jar AI. Yes, yes. You are correct that it's a jar AI. Well. It's closed AI until they release the open weights they promised this summer. So I'm going to hold them to it. They can go to a jar AI once they release those weights. Okay? There's some stipulations. We're not just giving them the name. I need to trademark that before Figma can use it. I got to trademark that crap. So anyways, the other big thing that I wanted to point out, which is new, was that they added the hybrid post-quantum algorithm, MLKEM, 768X255, 19 SHA 256. So if you're working very sensitively, looking to have a post-quantum algorithm, there's now support for the hybrid algorithm. Which is cool. Wanted to call that out. Good job to the team building OpenSSH. You guys are way smarter than I will ever be. Yep. Scheduler is open source. I think I missed this. I think it was released 2 weeks ago, and it took me 2 weeks to find it. But Scheduler is an open source Kubernetes native scheduler for AI workloads at large scale. So about 3 companies can use this because only 3 companies actually have GPUs at scale. So it's great that it's open source, minus the fact that there's not a single person that can use it in this chat. But it's actually pretty cool. And it's pretty cool because have you ever wanted to make a Kubernetes scheduler? I don't actually think people realize that Kubernetes is modular enough that you can run your own scheduler. And if you were thinking, hey, I'd love to make a scheduler that does something stupid, well, here we can. And in fact, now that I say this, do you guys want to spend a Saturday making a dumb scheduler that does something stupid to schedule, but like actually works? We could do that. That would be fun. It would make a fun video too. We could do that for fun and education. But anyways, I was bringing this up because one, if you do have a bunch of GPUs, which is rare, but if you do have a bunch of GPUs, it might be worth checking out. So go check it out. And if you're not wanting to do that, but you're wanting to learn how to build a scheduler for Kubernetes, what goes into it, what things you have to think about, it's also there for you to learn. This is how I taught myself to program, was reading a bunch of open source stuff. A bunch of open source C++, okay? That was brutal. So go out there, learn. Did anybody else see anything in open source that I missed? Did I miss anything major? What do I focus on? Front end, back end, or something else? I only ever wanted to make a scheduler to try to trick people on clustered. Russell, I completely wanted to do this as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm professionally, I'm a Python vibe coder. That's what I put on my resume. That's what people hire me for. They hire me for my vibes and my Python. All the good vibes. Talkbit doesn't hire me for anything. C Films. I am a DDE. Talkbit, you could hire me though. I would probably work with you again. Dev mode driven development. Dance Evolution. Data dude expert. Wait. Is that what it actually is? I don't know. Software development engineer. I was thinking, is this like design driven engineering? Like I was going with some real possibilities here. But I prefer the Dance Evolution. I believe that's what DDE is. We got some Dance Evolution. Okay, well, fantastic. People post stuff. I'm not good with them. And so ToggleBit. Dynamic data exchange. I do remember those words. I never remember it DDE, but I do remember those words. I don't remember what it is. I never had to actually do it, which it sounds like I was lucky. Drunk development engineering. Okay. Maybe I'm a DDE as well. Possibly I'm a DDE as well. Absolutely. JavaScript is my second favorite after Python. So pretty much, if I had to rank my languages, it would be like Python, JavaScript, Perl, OCaml. OCaml and Perl, maybe right there together. That would be hard. They're like twins. OCaml, Perl, Haskell, C++. No. Haskell, Go, C++, Rust. That's probably my stack ranking of them. I can't show you the JavaScript tattoo. It's a little too low. So I can't show it. Sorry. Am I on B-Sky? What's B-Sky? I don't know what B-Sky is. Bisky? Is it Bisky? Bisky? There needs to be like an I. I don't think that's English. Oh, Blue Sky. Oh, no. Now, for those of you that are new, I just want to be clear. I was super memeing. I was like super memeing, and I feel bad now because I actually inverted the list in my head and then said it. It was in inverse order. I actually super love Rust. I apologize. I also like Zig. I didn't put it up there because I feel like it's more of an embedded thing than it is like a, everyday go-to. I actually like C++. I strangely like Go, but I feel like that's more like Stockholm syndrome for me. I feel like I love it and hate it at the same time. I have a weird relationship with Go. It's weird because like I feel like every single time I'm in it, I'm like, if I just keep it simple, it's great. And then there's like this one thing I want to do, and it's horrible. But anyways. This is a disturbingly high quality camera. Well, thank you. I wanted you guys to get to know me, my face, really well. I think that was a compliment. I'll take it. I mean, it depends on how disturbed you are. The higher, the better for me. Wait until Marvin comes in and starts camera shaving me. I don't know who Marvin is. They're more than welcome to come in here and shame me for whatever they like to shame me about. I will more than happy. It is a disturbingly nice camera for streaming to 5 people. It's stupid. I know it. So is this microphone. I got it. I'm aware. That's right. Russell has the correct rules. They have to subscribe to shame. That's why Russell gets to shame me all the time. He's subscribed. My subscribers get to shame. Mildly criticize if you follow. If you haven't followed, it's like the people that hate on Apple without ever trying Apple. I've tried it. I hate on Apple, but I've tried it. I gave it a solid year of my life and hated it. Look, I am one of those people that if you like a language and you enjoy it and you enjoy building the things that you're building with it, awesome. I make jokes about a lot of languages. I even crack the off joke about Rust or C++, even though I like those. But I like them because that's how I think, it's how I learned, it's how I grew up, whatever. I like them because of my life experiences, and you like yours because of your life experiences. I will crack jokes. I crack more jokes about and JavaScript, but I'm joking. If you love them, go for it. I just want to see people learn. I started YouTubing because I wanted to help people learn. And I started streaming because, oddly, I don't know why I started. Well, I started streaming because I was like, I'm building these things anyways for the YouTube videos. I might as well build them on Twitch. And then it kind of snowballed weirdly, but whatever. Yeah, anyways. You build your thing with what you like. And do you know what? I crap on Python and JavaScript, but the last 3 weeks I've done more Python and JavaScript than I have other languages. I just really like the other languages. All right, let's move on. We actually had 2 things left in the news. McFly? No, but it sounds rad. I would use McFly. Togglebit, the next time we do a code off, we should do it in McFly then. That was actually tons of fun. We need to do that again. That was kind of fun. We need to do another code relay, Togglebit. When are you doing the next code relay? I don't want to do it because it's kind of your thing, but I definitely want another code relay. That was a ton of fun. That was like one of the dumbest things that I have done and just tons of fun. And it was stupid. I'll hit you up in Discord. We'll set something up. It needs to happen again. You develop the coding language McFly? No, you don't. No, you don't. It's not a real language. I Googled it. Let's jump into the last 2 things. I'm going to then get off and say hi to my sister and then get her kids to work. That's what they came over here for. They just don't know it yet. All right. Let's talk about it. The one thing that I saw from Google Cloud's Next that I thought you guys might be interested in, excuse me. The one thing that I thought you guys might be interested in, also, thank you guys for the follows. I apologize. I didn't fix my follows. I will fix them for tomorrow. We have an AI that does a follow alerts, but its key is, anyways, I need to fix it. So I apologize. I'll fix it for tomorrow. Thanks for the follows. The last thing in the news today was accelerate your analytics. New Bigtable SQL capabilities drive real-time insights. So if you're using Bigtile, why can't I speak on stream? I don't know. Bigtable, Google Cloud's pioneering NoSQL database, has been an engine behind massive scale, low latency applications that operate at global scale. All right, they came out with a few updates to the interface that you can use. It's definitely actually a lot nicer for like viewing the return. So like if you see here, you can actually view it, which is a little bit nicer than it was originally. They have these continuous materialized views. I've not used this before, but like basically it's continuously updating it, which is pretty cool. And they have some new AI integrations. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So anyways, that's kind of the thing here. And it's awesome. If you're using Bigtable, the 4th best database in the world. You can now criticize, lightly criticize. If you followed, you can lightly criticize. Wait. Is this actually a thing? McFly. It's PowerShell. It's Python. Is it Python or PowerShell? Cool. The last thing in the news that I wanted to talk about was this. Hilarious. California cities are trying to figure out how fake voices mocking Musk and Zuckerberg were added to crosswalks. Now, why I said this is hilarious and needs to stop. Sometimes we don't look at our own responsibility as people. Crosswalks, this is funny. For most people, they think it's funny. But the reason they have voices is for people who have a hard time with things like seeing. And it's very important for them because that's what they're there for. They're for people with disabilities, whether they're blind, whether they're deaf. There's things for those people. And so what I wanted to say is these things are funny and I'd like to laugh about them. But then there's also the responsibility on us to not do funny things with critical infrastructure. That's all I'm going to say. Don't do that. It's funny. But don't do it. Some things are funny, just don't go there. Dude, yeah. Oh, did they actually move IDX to... I did not see that. IDX is moving to Firebase Studio? That's actually a big deal. I missed it. You're right. Check it out. Project IDX is now Firebase Studio. So IDX was... Yeah. Interesting. I have a question around why they move things to Firebase. Generally, I find Firebase to be like the not enterprise grade stuff. But I'm not entirely sure. It's like a division of Google Cloud, but I haven't understood why they move things to there versus just... My thought was that Firebase was going to fully integrate into Google Cloud and was going to be an offering in Google Cloud. But it turns out to be more like a side offer to Google Cloud that, like, I'm not sure. It's a little weird in my head. I don't know if any of you have thought about it. I've thought about it a little bit. I don't know. Anyhow, that's going to have to be it for me today. I have work to do. I have places to be. Thanks everybody for joining. Super happy having you all here. I hope I covered the news that was interesting for you. Thanks for the new followers. And I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. If not tomorrow, have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Hopefully you have a fantastic